I guess this is about things like doing and taking it out into the world. I want to make a difference in the world, and I've got probably 4 projects right now that each of which would be a life work by themselves. And I notice that I used to. Well, we'll see. That my tendency has been to, whenever I'm looking at something, is to...
Is it a tendency that you want to perpetuate? Not so much.
The problem is I'm not totally convinced yet, but let me finish the sentence and then we'll...
well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, okay. My tendency
16,
is to always take it
15,
into doing.
14, 13.
I can't hear you.
12, 11. We're just counting down from 16 seconds of momentum. We're just teasing with you a little bit because this is the beginning of momentum that doesn't serve you. When you say something like, my tendency has been, or in the past this has been my experience, or this is the way it's been going. You have 4 viable projects that the world is not just waiting for, the world is asking for. Everything's in motion and could begin right now. And it all hinges on what you say now, and what you say now, and what you say now, and what you say now. Because you can lay new pipes. In other words, you know it's in the vortex and you are actualized around it to a large degree mentally. And so the path of least resistance from where you are to the fruition of it is such a short distance in these new pipes. But the new pipes, that is the question. Just now, you started to talk about the old pipes and we were playing with you about it. But you can lay new pipes right now. Now, our friend says he can't just jump on that disc immediately, and we acknowledge that. But if there were ever an opportunity to flow through the free-flowing pipes of infinite intelligence, that it would be right here, right now. In other words, if we were sitting in your physical green chair, we would be using this opportunity with free-flowing pipes to make statements that we knew for sure would hold us in a vibration that would at least not hinder the outcome we're seeking. And if we didn't think it was possible, we would not have chosen you. We can feel the momentum of what you've got going. We can feel the viability of the projects. We can feel the certainty of it. There's only one movable part, and that's you. And your words make the difference. So what words do you now want to speak through these new pipes? I'm going to enjoy this. Everything that I've been living up to now will have been worth it. Now is the time for the movement on this. I'm so proud of everything that's come before. I can feel how queued up everything is. I'm ready to reap the reward of the motion forward. It doesn't all have to come together all at once. What would be the fun of that? I like the feeling of the movement. I'm good at that. I'm good at setting it in motion. I'm good at recognizing it. I'm really good at recognizing it. I can feel when something's viable and I can feel when it isn't. And I've felt my way right through each and every one of these. There's one that's easier for me to give my ease attention to than others. I think I'll start there.
I'm feeling kind of an overwhelming desire to see if I totally believed what you're saying, and large parts of me do, then I'd be really free. But there's parts of me that are held back and that are
yeah, those are the parts we're trying to get you to not keep practicing. You're right. That is the bugaboo. That is the resistance, and you can feel it, and you can even identify that. So you could talk around it. See, you're a believer, and many people are, that if you just hash it out, that you can get to the bottom of the problem, or that the solution will reveal itself in more vivid fashion. So you've been hashing it out, and the solution has revealed itself, but you can't talk yourself to it in the approach that you were about to make. Just ramble. We won't interrupt you anymore. We just wanted to make a statement in the beginning here, and then we'll guide it as it goes along. So you can talk about whatever you want, however you want to talk about it, and we'll just guide you. And boo you and harass you and make fun of you. No. None of that. We'll start
well,
again.
I have a specific question, if I can, which, where is the step of taking it out into the world in this whole thing?
When the impulse is so strong that wild horses can't keep you from it. When it's so obviously the next logical step that not doing it would just seem like madness. When the effort factor to do that, when all the pieces have just come into place. In other words, you're not there yet. But if you were, you would know it. But when you're asking that question, it's not time. Because when you're there, then you're saying, Abraham, you freaky ghost, I don't care what you say. I can feel. I've been around. I've learned a lot. And I can feel. I know it's time.
And you're saying to grab onto discs as a way to get there.
We're saying to place yourself on the disc that will cause you to, or allow you to generate the momentum that then will inspire that action that you're waiting for. Most people apply their action from the wrong disc, and you're helping us say it more perfectly than we've ever said it. Pick the disc, then allow the momentum to go, and then follow through with ensuing action, with that inspired action. And until then, you only have one thing to do: pick a disc. What next? 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 Pick a disc. Keep picking it and picking it and picking it and picking it and picking it until the energy and the enthusiasm and the momentum of it is such that nothing can keep you from the action that you're inspired to. See, we're not trying to get you to not act. We're just asking you to pick a disc and make sure it's the disc you want to be on by the way it feels before you follow the inspired action. Sometimes people feel like punching somebody else in the nose. That's inspired action, but it's not the best disc.
I tend to like, I can see the value in doing what you're talking about right now, but my tendency has been to do the piece that I can do, that I can easily see right now, which is to do the next action that I think is toward the goal.
Well,
and
that's logical, and we understand that, and we're really not discouraging that if that feeling of doing that next action is clear. But what you're actually doing is a little bit like what we talked about earlier with the lottery. You're defining the avenue through which it will come. And if you understand that what's in the vortex and all these paths have already been laid out, and you trust that the universe will, it's a little bit like the difference between Esther's sister going over every square inch of the mall looking for that shoe, or just going and having lunch and let somebody who knew where the shoe was come to them. That's really what we're talking about, the difference that we're talking about. Of course, there's endless action that you could offer if you're trying to justify your well-being through the action that you're expending. But if you're applying your action, if you'll say, what am I going to do today? I'm going to choose a disc. What else? I'm going to choose a disc. But what else are you doing? Well, I'm just choosing a disc. Well, aren't you doing anything other than choosing that disc? Well, yeah, I'm following through with inspired action on other discs that I've chosen, but I'm just doing the inspired action that's already set in motion. But then the new energy, the new focus that I'm doing is just making sure that I'm choosing the disc, and then I'll wait for the inspired action. And you can tell the difference when something comes along and it just feels so strong that you just can't not follow through with it. And when you're pushing it, you can feel the difference.
I think there's a belief in there somewhere that's getting in the way. That
clogged pipes, but we could spend all day trying to dig those old pipes out, and all we do is just put more caliche in the pipe. Or we could lay some new pipes, and that's what we're asking you to do, is just lay some fresh new pipes. And it's easier than you are letting it be, because in laying the new pipes, we're not asking you where it's going to be and when it's going to be and who it's going to be with and how it's going to come about. Laying new pipes is just talking about how you want to feel about it. That's all that is. You don't have to know anything except how it feels. How would it feel for me to deliver this to the world? How would it feel for me to see the world embracing this and benefiting from this? How would that feel? That's all you've got to do. Hold yourself in that vibrational frequency, and the universe will deliver the details on how, when, who, and where. And when those vibrations are strong enough, you'll feel the impulse to move toward them, and it will be fun. We are not for a moment saying that you're just going to sit around choosing a disc, choosing a disc, choosing a disc, and all of a sudden it's going to fall into your lap without any warning or without any awareness or without any action on your part. The action will come, but that still is the work, the only work, the dominant work. There might be a little work of following up with inspiration from previous work. That's the new work. That's always the new work. That's my highest priority today. Make sure I'm on the disc instead of what I have a tendency to do or what I'm used to doing or what I generally do or what I usually do.